Well, good afternoon. Bill O'Leary coming to you live here as part of what we call our Thirsty Thursday series. I'm Bill O'Leary for those of you that maybe are stumbling across me for the first time. Let me just clear that. I'm an estate planning a lawyer, elder lawyer, probate lawyer, and my firm is Legacy Planning Law Group. I try to go live every Thursday, try to do it about this time as part of our Thirsty Thursday series. And so it's where I sort of think about something maybe that we've come across, an issue or a type of legal matter we've come across or I've read about that might be interesting. And I go live and talk about it. And again, I come live every Thursday. Didn't do it last Thursday because of Thanksgiving. Hope everyone had a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday. And so as part of our Thirsty Thursday series, if you're thirsting for knowledge, then you've come to the right place. So today's topic is, my loved one has died. How do I settle the estate? How do I settle the estate? So when a loved one passes away, it's going to be necessary to handle their estate. That goes without saying. And when I say handle the estate, the technical term is to administer the estate or maybe to settle the estate. So that's what we call estate administration, or maybe estate settlement. So this estate settlement process can be long, and it's often confusing for people that have to sort of go through it for the first time. By the way, using a solid checklist with a timeline that details what to expect and when to expect it is critical. Being organized. And especially if you're named the executor, you need to understand, you have to understand that the estate settlement process, you have to understand sort of the ins and outs so you can make sure that the estate is settled properly and in a timely fashion, and that all of the heirs are going to receive their share of the estate as your deceased loved one intended it to go. So when a person dies, the sort of a new entity is created. It's called the estate. Okay, it sort of comes into being, and at that point, it's necessary for that to happen, for that estate to sort of come into an existence in order to effectively manage the deceased person's assets and their liabilities, unpaid bills, that sort of thing. Okay, so what do you do next? Well, let me tell you actually about a very methodical and very complete estate settlement process that we follow here at my firm, and it's called our estate settlement program. It's actually a 7-step process. We actually call them 7 modules that we follow in order, and actually it looks something like this. I'm not going to hold this up the whole time, but there are I guess over here 7 steps that we follow, and we show this to our family. It's called our estate settlement program, and this is the 7-step journey that we go on with a deceased loved one. So it's a unique 7-step process, again, our estate settlement program, and it walks clients through the post-death administration journey. And again, as I say, it shows them each step along the way. So it's designed, the estate settlement program that we have is designed to provide family members sort of comfort and clarity so that they know how to go about administering a deceased loved one's estate or trust. So the very first step, we call it Module 1. It's called the snapshot. So basically, it's sort of it's an overview that we give of the legal road that we're going to go on, maybe the tax road, the financial road with the family. It shows them the road they're going to travel on. And again, it's where we introduce them to this 7-module program, the estate settlement program. This Module 1, the snapshot, also sort of helps different family members get familiar with their roles and responsibilities when carrying out the estate settlement. Maybe one of the family members is going to be the executor. We explain to them what their responsibilities are going to be. Once we get past the snapshot model, we shift into Module 2 called the legal module. And it's here where the client brings into sort of the governing legal documents, legal instruments. Is it a will? Is it a trust? Is it no will or trust at all? We need to know sort of the rules of the road so we know what we're having to administer in handling the loved one's estate or trust. In any estate administration, the legal documents, they control, they govern the wishes of the deceased person, and they lay out the outcome of who benefits from what as part of the estate or the trust. So that's module 2, the legal. Once we get past that, we're off to the races. We shift into module 3 called assets. Assets. Here we dive into identifying and marshaling all of the loved one's assets. We also focus on getting asset values as of when, as of the date of death. That's a critical date. On that date, what was the value of all of the assets? We also focus on not only getting values of the assets on the date of death, but we also advise the family members on how, if they're going to be administering this estate or selling it, how to prudently invest the estate assets during the period of administration before it finishes up. You have to be very prudent on how you manage those assets. Maybe you've got money that's sitting in an investment account as part of the estate. How do you prudently invest that for the benefit of the beneficiary? So that's module 3 called assets. We then shift to module 4. It's called creditors. The creditors module, very, very important. It's a very important step in any post-death administration. So what we do is we help the client identify creditors. These are people that are owed money from the deceased person. Both creditors that we know about, or maybe could figure out from doing a reasonable amount of due diligence, as well as creditors maybe we don't know about. We want to make sure that all creditors, known or unknown, get paid, because they're entitled to get paid first before the beneficiaries get their money. And the last thing we want to do is to go ahead and make a final distribution to the beneficiaries, and lo and behold, a creditor pops up and they're knocking on the beneficiary's door. They are not going to like you as the executor if that happens. So module 4, in effect, is designed to clear the creditors, to give the beneficiaries peace of mind. We then shift to module 5 as part of the estate settlement program. Again, it's 7 modules. Module 5, taxes. It's an often overlooked area of the estate settlement process. There are a number of important tax issues that have to be dealt with after somebody dies. For example, there'll be one last tax return that will have to be filed for the deceased loved one, what's called the final 1040 return. In addition, there may very well be a need to file a separate tax return for the estate or the trust, if that's what we're dealing with, a separate tax return called a Form 1041. The personal tax return that you and I file every year is the 1040. Well, an estate or a trust may have to file a separate tax return called a 1041. We determine whether that's necessary. If the deceased had an IRA or a 401k, a retirement account, there may be sort of a final RMD required minimum distribution. You've got to make sure you take that final distribution. Then there's the process, again, if the deceased had an IRA and had named beneficiaries, the process of transferring or moving that IRA over to the beneficiaries as an inherited IRA. There may be estate tax issues, so very, very important. We always sort of plug in an accountant at this stage. Module 5, taxes. We then shift to module 6. That's where the beneficiaries see their money. This module is called distributions. So, at this point we have figured out who's getting what and in the manner that they're getting it, whether they're getting it as an outright distribution or maybe the will or the trust said it's going to stay in a continuing trust for the benefit of the beneficiaries. So if our client, who's the executor or the trustee, they have done a good job holding the beneficiaries at bay, as we had stressed with them at the very beginning of this process. Hey, if the beneficiaries are going to be calling you, texting you, saying, I want my money from the will or the trust, you say, no, my lawyer is telling me I can't do it just yet because there are other steps we have to do, other boxes we have to check before we give you the money. If my client, as the executor or the trustee, has been successful in holding the beneficiaries at bay, we then get to the distribution module. If the will or the trust provides that instead of the beneficiary getting an outright distribution, it stays in a trust for them, what we call a continuing trust, where there's a process for sort of setting that up and making sure it's properly funded. Now, in order to protect the executor of the estate or the trustee of the trust from any liability, And in order to comply with the law, an accounting has to be prepared and delivered to the beneficiaries. Okay, an accounting has to be prepared. And so once it's prepared and sent, the beneficiaries are asked to review it and hopefully approve the accounting. Once that's done, then the distributions are made. And again, some distributions may be made outright, others will have to go into a continuing trust, a trust that will continue on for that beneficiaries. So that's Module 6, distributions. And then Module 7 is what we call the wrap-up. So it's where we bring the client back in, we complete any remaining open items, we sort of review, answer any final questions, and then we'll turn our attention to the family member. Hey, let's talk about your estate planning. You've sort of seen the process that we've had to go through for your loved one. Well, why don't we get your affairs in order as well? So that's the wrap-up. So that's our 7-module estate settlement program. So if you'd like to know more about sort of the estate settlement process and how we can help, how you go about settling an estate, and we would love to talk to you. So what we encourage people to do is sort of a very easy first step is to go ahead and reach out and schedule a 15-minute, we call it a discovery phone call, a free discovery phone call. You can book that by going to our website, legacyplanninglawgroup.com. There's a book now button on the homepage, or you can just call us at the office, 904-880-5554. And this discovery phone call, it's kind of nice. It's a 15-minute block of time we will set aside for you. Where basically we try to understand what your concerns are, so we can tell you if we can help you, right? And also it's a chance for us to sort of start a conversation to see if we would be a good fit for each other. So again, that 15-minute discovery phone call is complimentary. If you've enjoyed this video, I would just ask that you like it, or better yet, share it with your friends. So I hope you've enjoyed this talk, which has been entitled, My Loved One Has Died, How Do I Settle the Estate? As I said, I intend to give another talk next Thursday at about this time as part of our Facebook Live series we call our Thirsty Thursday series. So if you're thirsting for knowledge, you've come to the right place. So Bill O'Leary signing off for now on behalf of everybody here at Team Legacy, from Jeanette, Sarah, Cindy, Courtney. Go make it a great day and make it a better world.